Guys, I got a 6 strat. You rush B, I'll hold the flank. What? Dude, have you never seen Getright? Stop right there and let me teach you how to lurk correctly. So I wanted to take a look at someone that actually does some things correct. Darth Jesus here is a DMG level player, and he actually lurks very effectively on the rounds he does so. And the key is he doesn't call himself a lurker. He does a very good job of sometimes being high impact when he's lurking, sometimes being a little bit more passive, and sometimes just going with the team. So we'll take a look at a couple of rounds where he does a very good job, and then go into what is the problem with people that call themselves lurkers and why that's a bad thing. So we'll take a look at Darth Jesus here, who does a couple of things right and a couple of things wrong. So first off, over here, he's going to be taking up towards Banana. Now, you typically wouldn't think of Banana on Inferno as a lurk role. However, once you take top Banana, a lot of the time your team might go back mid, you leave one there, and he can end up being the lurker. So his team is actually going to be posturing towards the B site, and this is a very interesting situation here. This is not something you see often, so I wanted to highlight it. He goes through the smoke, and his team goes back A. If you're someone with a negative mindset, otherwise known as an average CS player, you're probably thinking, wow, his team really abandoned him here and just hung him out to dry. However, if you have a positive mindset, you're a freaking unicorn, and you're thinking, wow, this is one hell of a fake he's throwing here. Sometimes this is something you really want to be considering. Your team is going to go back the other direction, but because it takes a long time to go from top Banana to A, you have a player commit in and try and sell the fake in spots like this. In this spot, what you want to be doing is surviving. You want to take the gunfights and make them last as long as possible, so you probably don't want to move out of water there. However, instead, he jumped up looking for the frags. Although it's tempting to look for kills in that spot, what happens there is if he dies, his team is going to get rotated on fairly quickly. They're going to realize, hey, nobody's fighting me. They're probably going A. However, as long as he's alive there, it's going to delay the notion that you could be going back the other direction for longer and longer. So instead of looking for a fight, a lot of the time what you want to do as an aggressive lurk is look to put up a fight as long as possible, not necessarily push in for as many frags as possible, because realistically, soloing into a bomb site, you're not going to kill the whole squad unless they're on pistols, and even then, you're not going to do it all that often. So I'll show you one more round of something I quite like from Darth Jesus before showing you what I think is really the biggest problem that most people that title themselves as lurkers really do. And Darth Jesus doesn't actually title himself a lurker, he just does lurk occasionally, which I think is generally what you want to be doing more so than not. But he does make some mistakes and fall into a bit of a habit at times. So here he's got a round where he's going to be going and solo taking Banana. And I don't think he does the solo take perfectly. He is just, a DMG player. It's not a big deal. However, I think the lurk he does afterwards is pretty good. So here's the take on Banana. Crosshair could be a little bit more effectively positioned, and taking Banana like this, he kind of ignores a couple of angles, but what's going to happen is he's got top Banana control here, and he decides to hold it long term. Now, he could go aggressive. However, if you go aggressive every time you're near Banana, then they can just re-aggress if you're not making any noise and know it's clear. He could have gone back with his team here. However, I think holding this sometimes and making sure if they look for info, you can punish them is a good play, even though it doesn't work out this time in terms of his opponents aren't pushing through, they're just stacking A. So his opponents are making a pretty good play. Now, what's awkward is that his team is taking 30 minutes to push into the A site. It's like a freaking elevator at this point. Now, he's doing a good job in just passively lurking in this type of scenario. Note, he did not go into this round as a lurker. He did not go into this round holding an angle forever. He went to control Banana, he took control, his team was going to go A, and he made the decision to play a bit passive and catch the rotates. That's the type of thing you're trying to do as a lurker. Now, when the team goes to the way that you are typically controlling, you want to go into the site with them. You want to try and actually support them, or, you can entry frag, whatever you want to do. You don't want to do this, where Darth Jeez is going to put some pressure B, realize his whole team is there, and then go back the other direction. At this point, it's already too late to actually go up middle. They could be pushed through T-apps. They could be pushed in a window, which they are, and he's going to get punished for it. And this is, this might not be his mentality, but this is often what I see from people that call themselves lurkers. They just go the opposite direction of wherever their team is going, and they try and hold passively an angle and wait for rotates. I don't necessarily think that's what Darth Jesus was trying to do here. However, if you're going to give up map control, you need to make sure you're taking it back with another player, because otherwise you're really susceptible to just getting picked. And not only does he get picked, in getting that kill, his opponents know something is up and they start pushing down middle. They start pushing through apartments. He's in dying. He's given up the jig. He's let everyone know exactly what's going on. If he had just stuck with his team there, I think it's more likely his opponents aren't going to be pushing on the flank than what he did here. So before you all run away from this video with the information of what to do as a lurker, I want to give you a more clear definition and a more clear idea of what you want to be doing and why. So if you look back at the beginning of CSGO, you're probably thinking of players like Getright and Happy from Envious, who are players that would actually hard lurk just about every round.
Oh, nowhere, he's going to have to sit down, and he goes down! Getright clutches it, it happens again!
Even back then, they wouldn't lurk every single round, but they would lurk very often, and it was something they became very well known for. You still have lurkers nowadays, but they're not lurking quite the same. Usually what they would be is outskirts players. You can label them lurkers if you'd like, and that's what sometimes, you'll see people label them as. However, that's not something they're doing on even more than half the rounds. If their team is running a default, they would typically be a player that's either banana or apartments. And these are players that aren't lurking. What they're doing is they're going for map control early. And if the scenario presents itself, they are happy to end up lurking. But even if you are an apartments player and your team decides to go B, that doesn't mean you always lurk out apartments. That can mean a lot of the time you want to go back with your team. Some of the time you might lurk out late and allow to try and catch the rotates and catch people in the back. And other times you might lurk out more aggressively, trying to draw a rotate, as I've previously talked about. The one thing you want to keep in mind is that the threat is oftentimes as dangerous, or even sometimes more dangerous, than the actual play. If your opponents are constantly sitting around in the A site wondering if they can rotate because they're worried someone's going to shoot them in the back, but you're actually helping your team take the bomb site instead, you've accomplished something very effective. You've really destroyed their rotations without even being there. That is a very effective lurk job, and although it's not as attractive as, peeking out and catching two people in the back or something like that, winning a ridiculous clutch play, it is the reality of lurking in the current age. The only time you might open up a round as a lurker right off the bat are rounds where you're running a set strat. If your team is going to be doing something like a fast A hit and they're running up arch, for example, you might want to have a player that, comes over to B and throws down a smoke, maybe mollies, just to make sure your opponents can't aggressively know that B is completely clear and rotate before the strat hits. Those are situations where you may open up with a lurk, but even in those spots, I might throw this at banana, stay there sometimes, and sometimes end up coming back A, potentially lurking through apartments, something like that, and putting myself in a more beneficial engagement for my team rather than an individual engagement on banana. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope this helped, and I hope this illuminated why all your teammates that say they're lurkers really never have any positive impact on the game. So if you enjoyed this video, hit up the Patreon, patreon.com/VooCSGO. You can get yourself a demo review, you can get yourself some pro VOD reviews, some unreleased videos, and all of that type of thing. I'll catch you in the next one.